Joined by Congressman Steve Scalise, Republican of Louisiana, House Minority Whip. Congressman, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Doing great, Greg. Good to be back with you.
Great to have you. First off, Bill Barr resigned, fired, one or the other. Let's face it, I was frustrated. A lot of people were frustrated by him, particularly this Hunter Biden situation that apparently he knew about. What are your thoughts now that we know he's on his way out?
Yeah, there was so much of this stuff that had come out, and over a year ago, it seems like the Hunter Biden case had been known by justice. The debate, Chris Wallace moderated that first debate where President Trump was going after Joe Biden on this, and Joe Biden was saying it wasn't true. And it turns out, now that this was going on and maybe deeper than we thought, that on top of the FBI scandal where some of the FBI agents that tried to entrap the president and were spying on his campaign 4 years ago, and when he came down those escalators, that was alarming and very frustrating that wasn't dealt with more aggressively as well.
So, yeah, I remember that. Well, you mentioned Chris Wallace, by the way. You were on Chris Wallace's show yesterday, and he tried to make a lame attempt to justify his network's coverage of the Hunter Biden situation before the election. I didn't see it, but let's look at that exchange, if you don't mind.
Many in the mainstream media were mocking people who were putting this story out there, and it turns out, looks like it was true. It's being much more widely reported now after the election, and it's another reason that people have real distrust in the mainstream media.
Oh, shoot. Well, I wish we had Chris Wallace trying to give you a hard time of when he said, well, we did cover it, and I looked it up. He had like one reporter do 8 seconds on it, and he basically did Joe Biden's denial, did not do anything about the substance of the story. So even Fox blew off the story, which was hugely frustrating and hugely unfair to the president, I think.
Yeah, and during the campaign, Chris Wallace himself expressed very high skepticism of the story when they were reporting it, but they were reporting it with skepticism. It wasn't like, okay, there's this allegation out there that Hunter Biden had gotten these contracts with the government of Russia or with China or, all the other allegations that were very alarming. And they just covered it all up. And when they would report it, it was in the context of a baseless claim. And this is, by the way, coming from the people who made baseless claims after President Trump for months and months. The headlines about this whistleblower is going to put everybody in jail. And then that testimony would come out later that day. And there was nothing there. They impeached President Trump over an allegation that turned out to be false. And here you've got the Hunter Biden story turning out to be true. Eric Swalwell, who was one of the main accusers of President Trump, turns out that he had a relationship with a Chinese spy. In fact, the Chinese spy had gotten possibly some people infiltrating into his office. He got on the House Intelligence Committee. Where's the alarm and the outrage by the mainstream media over that?
Yeah. All right. So, look, I don't know if you heard my opening statement, but I actually am emphasizing that while a lot of people are calling Joe Biden the president-elect, as I'm sure you know, according to the U.S. Constitution, we're not there yet. These votes have to be transmitted to the president of the Senate. He has to open them. He has to count them. He has to do it before the House and the Senate, and then a president is chosen. What's your perspective on all of this? You know about what's still happening, the challenges that are ongoing. It's not looking great for the president, but I don't think it's over.
Yeah, you never count Donald Trump out. But in the end, the President Trump is utilizing the same legal system that's been available for everybody who's run for president. You go back to Bush v. Gore. How many people were asking Republicans to acknowledge a president-elect Al Gore as they were trying to keep counting more and more votes in Broward County? At least you only had one county there where they were really having high irregularities. Here you have multiple states with a lot of irregularities.
So your colleague, Pascrell, I think his name is, a congressman from New Jersey, he has a crazy idea, in my opinion. He says that no Republican who supported the president in this quest in challenging the results and making sure there was no cheating, he says, if possible, refuse to seat in the 117th Congress any members-elect seeking to make Donald Trump an unelected dictator, which is obviously hyperbole right there. But, I mean, people on his side, they're citing the 14th Amendment, and they're saying there's cause here, which there isn't. Not at all. You first, then I'll tell you why I think he's nuts.
Well, for just the idea that that using the legal system as it was laid out to challenge questions that millions of people have with things that happened in a number of states where they didn't even follow their own state law. If that's the definition of insurrection, and you can't even be seated when you were duly elected by the people, the 750,000 people or so that were all elected to represent, like that, they can say whatever they want. I think they really have been on shaky ground for a while on this stuff, but they're doing everything they can to change the subject from things that happened in the election. And frankly, with these elections in January, on January 5th in Georgia, we've got to clean this stuff up.
I really recommend
for weeks and weeks.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I recommend everybody read the Constitution. It's so straightforward, more than you realize. And it says right there that Pascrell is a nut. They actually wrote that down. I'm actually curious. You were shot on that baseball field back in 2017. We almost lost you. You look fantastic now. Is that something you think about every single day, or are there some days where it goes by and you don't think about what happened?
Greg, I do every day recognize that I'm lucky to be alive. I know the miracles that happened, just the things that could have easily gone wrong where I wouldn't be here. So I enjoy every day. I cherish every day. I'm honored to be able to fight for the things I believe in, and I love this country, and I'm going to keep fighting for it every day.
Beautiful. Congressman Steve Scalise, so happy to have you again. To be continued.
Great to be back, Greg.
Okay, take care now. Folks, we'll be back with the man in the middle of the fight in Michigan, Matthew DePerna. That report I read at the top of the show, it was actually addressed to him. Also, restaurant owners here in New York and employees are out of luck thanks to an incompetent governor. Yeah, be right back. Matthew DePerno should be